This film is running in the hall of Quex House, which was designed as a country residence by the architect Thomas Hardwick and built between 1806 and 1813 for John Powell Powell. He changed his surname from Roberts when he inherited his uncle John Powell's substantial estate, which included Park House, an earlier Georgian mansion in Middlesex. This fine Regency house replaced the original house, which dated back to the early 15th century and had recently fallen into decay. The original entrance hall was half the width of the present space. The hall was enlarged and remodelled in 1907 with a new staircase, panelling and flooring made from English oak in a fashionable baronial style. The plaster ceiling in the gallery dates from 1907 and is part of the remodelling undertaken by Major Powell Cotton. The coat of arms on the wall at the head of the stairs is dated 1808 and was the foundation stone on the Regency house. At the top of the stairs, as you face the landing window, to the right are portraits of King William III and Queen Mary II. To the left of these hangs another portrait of Queen Mary. Beside the door to the boudoir is a portrait of John Powell Powell. He became High Sheriff of Kent in 1822, and in his honour the public house in Birchington Square was renamed the Powell Arms, which name still survives. He had three main passions: sailing, collecting cannon and bell ringing. In 1819 he built the Waterloo Tower to house a peal of 12 bells, as the local parish church had insufficient room for them. To the left of the front windows is a portrait of his uncle, John Powell Powell, who brought the Quex estate and other land in Thanet from Charles James Fox, son of Lord Holland, in 1774. The bust in the wooden alcove is of Democritus, the laughing philosopher. It came from Lord Holland's house at nearby Kingsgate, where it was given to him as a gift by Charles Bunbury. It was carved of Italian marble in the 18th century and has a rhyming, comic inscription. My dear Lord, as proof of my love and regard, accept of the bust that comes with this card, and may the old Grecian's ridiculous phiz inspire you with notions as cheerful as his, persuade you with patience your griefs to endure, and laugh at the evils no weeping can cure. In niches along the same wall are two 19th century Japanese bronze incense burners, which used to be left burning after death to ward off evil spirits. Either side of the landing window, two late 18th century corner cabinets contain a display of mainly Georgian drinking glasses. At the top of the stairs and to the right is the Powell Room. This room was a dining room until 1883, when it was converted into a bedroom. Following the death of Major Powell Cotton in 1940, Mrs. Powell Cotton used this as her bedroom until her death in 1964. The Chinese patterned wallpaper dates from 1913. The French clock is late 18th century, made in Paris and decorated in Buhl, named after the French man who invented the technique of using patterned inlays of brass and tortoiseshell. The carpet is cashmere, bought during Major Powell Cotton's travels there in the 1890s. The curved Sheraton-style mahogany sideboard was made to measure for John Powell Powell in 1814 in Ashford, Kent. On the sideboard is a pair of late 18th century mahogany knife boxes and a Regency rosewood sarcophagus tea caddy. Below on the floor stands an octagonal brass-bound mahogany wine cooler. The room has two panelled doors which continue the curve of the wall. It is said that John Powell Powell intended this to replicate the cabin of his yacht, and added seashells in the cornice of the plaster ceiling to continue this theme. The two mahogany display cabinets were made from a fine Chippendale breakfront bookcase salvaged from Park House. One contains a rare early 19th century Wedgwood creamware service displaying the family crest. The other cabinet contains personal effects and mementos of John Powell Powell, including a silver megaphone, a chronometer, and documents relating to his sailing, his interest in bell ringing, and his service as High Sheriff of Kent. On the top shelf are rowing trophies won by Henry Horace Powell Cotton in races on the sea at Margate in the 1850s. The mahogany four-poster bed dates from about 1780. The delightful little girl in the picture to the left of the bed is the Major's eldest daughter Diana and is by Ralph Peacock, R.A. The late 18th century mahogany and bergère canework cot was used for successive generations of Powell Cotton babies, including the current occupant of the house. The boudoir is situated at the front of the house on the left-hand side of the gallery. It is very light and airy and faces south across the park. After the Major's marriage, it was refitted in fashionable neo-Georgian style as a boudoir or day room for his young wife Hannah. The magnificent Georgian fireplace is a relic of Park House, but complements the panelling and plasterwork made a century and a half later. The cherubs above the fireplace appear carved, but are drawn in chalk and pastel. They are trompe l'oeil, or trick of the eye. Most of the furniture is of satin wood with detailed inlays in the late 18th century style of Thomas Sheraton. The short keyboard piano, just 5½ octaves, made by Robert Stoddart in London in 1802, has an attractive honey-coloured satinwood case with cross-banding. Stoddart worked with John Broadwood, developing innovations in piano design, which led to the modern grand piano. The fine satinwood and ormolu breakfront bookcase contain many pieces of Oriental porcelain. The various pictures in this room are mainly in pencil, chalk and wash. Among them are John Powell, dated 1771, by James Hakewill, 2 pictures of Charles Bowland Cotton and 2 of his wife Harriet. The very attractive enamelled repeating French carriage clock on the mantelpiece was presented to Major Powell Cotton on his 21st birthday in 1887 by the Quex estate tenants. There are 2 notable items of Meissen, one depicting a drunken tailor riding a goat. A steward would be pleased to tell the tale for those that are interested, and another of a group of Bavarian schoolchildren. To the rear of the house and overlooking Quex Gardens is the library. Originally this room interconnected with the adjacent room, now the boudoir, to form a large withdrawing room. Following the redevelopment of the house, the 2 rooms were permanently separated, and this room became the family library. The central oak library desk holds maps and larger volumes, and has an integral bookrest which can be used to display a volume. There are approximately 3,000 books in the library, reflecting the varied tastes and interests of members of the Powell Cotton families over the last 200 years. Of particular interest here is the Congreve rolling ball clock, created by William Congreve, an artilleryman and inventor of Napoleonic war rocket batteries. It was made in 1820 for John Powell Powell and has an intriguing, almost hypnotic action. However, it is not a good timekeeper. The oil painting over the fireplace is of Hannah, the wife of Major Powell Cotton, also painted by Ralph Peacock, R.A., in 1908. Hannah came to Quex to work as the Major's secretary when he was writing his second book, In Unknown Africa, published in 1904. They were married in Nairobi in November 1905 in the midst of the Major's expedition to East Africa and the Congo. They returned home in 1907 to a hero's welcome from the people of Birchington. A honeymoon in the Ituri forest created great interest from the newspapers, and Hannah gave illustrated talks on their adventures. Notable pieces of furniture in this room include the rosewood games table dating from about 1820, the mahogany library table, one of a pair dating from about 1840, and the pair of mirrors carved with oriental wood frames featuring dragons. The two large lamps on the library desk are Japanese bronze temple lamps. The large bronze figure of Hercules was purchased in the 1820s by John Powell Powell. The chiming mantel clock was given to the Major's son Christopher on his 21st birthday in 1939.